Aristotle stood by the shores of Athens, watching the waves crash against the rocks. His mind was filled with questions, seeking answers about life, the universe, and humanity. Knowledge is the pathway to wisdom, he often whispered to himself. One day, a group of young students gathered around him, eager to learn. "What is the meaning of life?" asked one of the students. Aristotle smiled, looking at the bright faces before him. "Life's meaning is found through the pursuit of purpose and virtue," he replied. The students leaned in closer, mesmerized by his words. "But how do we find our purpose?" asked another. "By asking questions and exploring the world around you," Aristotle said. The sun shone brightly as they embarked on a journey to explore the city. They walked through the bustling markets, observing people from all walks of life. Aristotle pointed to a merchant selling spices from distant lands. "Do you see him? He's found his purpose in trade, bringing new flavors to the world." The students nodded, understanding the wisdom in his words. As they traveled further, they reached the grand temples of ancient Greece. "Why do people build such magnificent structures?" asked a student. "To honor the gods and leave a lasting legacy," Aristotle answered. They entered the temple, where the scent of incense filled the air. The grandeur of the statues and the silence of the hall inspired awe. "Humans seek to create something greater than themselves," Aristotle explained. They exited the temple, and a breeze carried the scent of the ocean. Aristotle paused and looked out over the horizon. "Life, like the sea, is full of endless possibilities," he mused. The students marveled at his deep understanding of the world. "Master, how do we become wise like you?" one asked. Aristotle chuckled, his eyes twinkling with amusement. "Wisdom comes from experience, reflection, and humility," he said. He led them to a small hill, where the view of Athens was breathtaking. "This is my favorite spot to think," he told them. The students sat beside him, soaking in the beauty of the landscape. "You see," Aristotle continued, "touring the world is not just about seeing places. It's about understanding the people, the culture, and the history." A traveler passed by carrying a bag full of scrolls and maps. "Where are you headed?" Aristotle asked the man. "To the east, where new lands and wisdom await," the traveler replied. Aristotle smiled, seeing himself in the wanderer's eyes. "Every journey is a step toward self-discovery," he told his students. The traveler bid them farewell and continued on his way. "One day, you too will venture beyond these lands," Aristotle said. The students looked at him with admiration, eager for their own adventures. As night fell, the stars twinkled above them like diamonds in the sky. "What lies beyond those stars?" asked a student, curious about the universe. "Perhaps the answers to questions we have yet to ask," Aristotle replied. They laughed, their spirits lifted by his sense of wonder. "Master, do you ever feel lost?" asked one of them, more seriously. Aristotle thought for a moment and nodded. "Yes, even the wisest of us feel lost at times," he admitted. "But it's in those moments that we grow the most." They listened carefully, understanding that even great philosophers have doubts. "What matters is that you keep moving forward, no matter what," he encouraged. The students felt empowered by his words, ready to face their own challenges. "The key is to never stop learning," Aristotle added. "The world is a vast place, filled with endless lessons." They continued their walk through Athens, passing by artisans and scholars. "Do you see how each person here has a role to play?" Aristotle asked. "That is the beauty of life. Each of us contributes in our own way." The students marveled at how connected everything seemed. "But master," one student began, "what if we fail?" Aristotle stopped and faced him, his expression serious. "Failure is not the end, It is part of the journey, he said. In fact, we learn more from failure than from success. The student nodded, feeling a weight lifted off his shoulders. You must be willing to take risks and face challenges, Aristotle advised. They reached the city's edge, where the wilderness began. Beyond this point lies the unknown, Aristotle said. Just like life, it's both exciting and terrifying. The student stared into the distance, imagining the possibilities. Will you lead us, Master? One asked. Full of hope, Aristotle smiled but shook his head. I can guide you, but the path is yours to walk, he replied. They understood that their journey was just beginning. Remember, knowledge is the light that will guide you through the darkness, Aristotle said. The students were inspired, their hearts filled with courage and determination. And always seek the truth, no matter how difficult it may be to find, he added. They bowed their heads in respect, grateful for his wisdom. One last lesson before you go, Aristotle said. The students waited eagerly, knowing it would be important. The greatest achievement in life is not wealth or fame, he began. It is the happiness you find in your own heart. The student smiled, realizing the simplicity and depth of his words. Now go and make your own discoveries, Aristotle encouraged them. They set off, filled with excitement for the future. Aristotle watched them disappear into the distance, proud of the journey they were about to take. He stood there for a long moment, reflecting on his own life. Every moment is a chance to learn. Even for me, he thought. The night grew colder, but Aristotle felt a warmth in his heart. Perhaps it's not the answers that matter, he mused, but the questions we ask along the way. He turned and began walking back toward the city, his mind full of new ideas. The stars above him seemed to shine even brighter, as if guiding his steps. There is still so much to explore, Aristotle said to himself. His journey, like those of his students, was far from over. He smiled, knowing that each day brought new opportunities to grow. And so, the philosopher continued on his path, forever seeking wisdom. Athens slept peacefully, unaware of the greatness that walked among them. But Aristotle knew that true greatness came not from recognition, but from understanding. As he neared his home, he whispered to the night, "The adventure of life never ends." And with that, he disappeared into the shadows, leaving behind a legacy that would inspire generations. His wisdom, like the stars, would continue to shine long after he was gone.